Hello and welcome again. It's an honor and privilege to be with you here again today. I thank God for this opportunity. Why do I thank God for this opportunity? Because this opportunity has given us knowledge to be able to change our situation. Today, more than ever in the history of the world, we need that information more desperately than any time, because look at the world. Look where it's going to. I don't think I know anybody that could say they're happy with the way the world is, let alone to say they're happy in a relationship or trying to find a spouse or they want to have a family, because that's become an overwhelming task to try to get these simple things that we should not have a problem getting, we should not have a problem obtaining. To be able to have a family, that should not be a problem. That should not be a struggle. So why is it a struggle? Why is it a problem? Well, the reason why is, ladies and gentlemen, people have decided to do things their way. Meaning that I decide when I want to get married, who I'm married to. I decide if I'm going to follow this rule or that rule. So everyone has their own rules, have their own agenda. So how does that work? How can something like that work? How can it work? Is it even possible? No. There has to be a general rule in place that guides everyone, that will allow them to get what they're looking for, to obtain that happiness. But fortunately is this world operates on fundamental rules, meaning that you throw something up in the air, it's going to come down, right? There's air, right? There's day and night. We cannot change that. We cannot change that. But what we have done is trying to change those things to accommodate us. This natural order that's there. There are natural orders as well that's unseen, but we want to change it to fit our desire. Another way, what I'm saying is God has rules for everything in this world. And what we have done is threw his book out the window and decided to do it our way. But I'm asking you a question. Are you happy? Because you decided to do it your way like everybody else. Why aren't you happy? You should be celebrating. Why? Because you knew and you got exactly what you wanted. But guess what? It didn't happen that way, did it? So we're going to talk about how to pick a good husband and a good wife. Where does that come from? What are the rules for me, the guideline for me to follow to know if I am picking the right person, if I'm on the right track? See, that's the problem. We don't know where to start or where to end. We don't know what it looks like either. So how can you ever possibly think you can obtain something like that if you have no clue to what that is? Just because you push out a child with a man or a woman does not make you a family. Doesn't make you a husband, doesn't make you a wife, doesn't make you a mother, doesn't make you a man. These things have structure, they have rules. Why? Because it's designed for us so we can have what we're looking for, so it can run smoothly. Because remember, he created us, so he knows what we need. Anything you buy that comes with a blueprint, how to operate it, why did the manufacturer or designer put in instruction when you buy this new car or this new cell phone? It has instruction how to operate it, right? What happened when you decide to throw the instruction out the window? Then you have to try to figure it out on your own. And what's going to happen? You're going to make a lot of mistakes. But those mistakes doesn't really cost you. But the mistake that costs you is life mistakes. Meaning that trying to do something that was already planned, that's organized, that's prepared, and you decide to do it your way, meaning that trying to live this physical life the way you want to, most people did not accomplish it, nor are they happy. They're not happy. Most people messed up their life, basically. They messed it up. They're in some serious issues. Raising children by themselves, they're struggling. They want to be married. They're tired of being alone. Now they're to a point where they want to give up on marriage or any kind of relationship because they feel like, I can't find anyone. There's no one out there worth dating, even talking to. Well, how did we get to that point? Exactly because why? We decide to do it our way. This is your way. You're complaining about something that you decide to do your way. That's ironic, isn't it? Yeah. Because that's the way you want to play the game. So God let you play the game the way you wanted to. And how did it turn out? You're not happy. So how do we start? What is the rules? The first thing is we tend to be naturally attract people like ourselves, meaning that inside of you, there's a certain thing that attracts certain people. You don't know why, but you just are. You're attracted. Why you're attracted to this person, but not that person. Sometimes physicality has it as well, but there's more behind that. But we'll keep going. But the question is, why am I attracted to this person? What if this person is not a good person? Why am I attracted to these people who are not good? That's a whole different thing we have to discuss. But this is not the place or time right now to do that. We're talking about how do I pick. So if you've been picking the wrong people, then of course you don't know how to pick. If you've been divorced, you had many relationships, you got multiple kids from different baby daddies, well, right there, that tells you you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. You mess up the plan. So how do we get what we really want and not go through all of that and never see that at the end? Because God wants all of us to be happy and be married and have children. So the question is, what is his plan? What does he say for us to do? How do we find that person? The first thing we must look for is attraction. There has to be a certain level of attraction. Because think about it. You got to wake up next to this person every day, right? You have to look at this person in the face every day. You're going to be with this person all the time. So there has to be a level of attraction there for you wanting to be with this person. That's the first thing. The second thing, you got to have good character. That is vital, vital, vital. What does that mean? It means this character, this person, you're going to transmit that to your children. That's what's going to guide the way he or she operates. This is what's going to make your relationship or break it. The character. Will either make it or break it. Got to have good character. The next thing is, it's not a top priority, but a good family. What does that mean? God forbid something happens to you or your, the husband or the wife, and you have to get help from the family, right? So if they're a good family, then your son or daughter is also going to have that good character he was getting from his father or his mother. So it's not going to be much of a change. He or she going to still have that same education they were getting from whichever the parent that passed, either the father that passed or the mother. Now you with the family, the family side or the other side of the family, and they're helping you raise that child. Okay, so they're getting the same education. Very, very important. Next thing you have to look at is the person friend. Friends have tremendous influence on people. This is why we tell our children not to play with certain people, right? Why we tell our children that? There's a reason why you tell your child, don't play with this boy or this girl. Don't go to their house. Don't have anything to do with them. Don't be friends with them. Why? Because you know it's very influential. And to prove that to you is when Abraham had a son with the housemaid. His wife told him to go have a son because she couldn't bear children, to go have children with the housemaid. And he had a son. Then later she became pregnant and she had a son. So they grew up, and then eventually she came to her husband and says, you have to send your first son away. The son you have with the housemaid, he has to leave. And he says, why? He says, he's a bad influence. But Abraham said, well, honey, don't you think him being a good boy is going to influence the other one, change him to be good? And she says, no, it doesn't work that way. The good will drag down, the bad will drag the good down. Listen to what she says. The bad will drag the good down. Every one of you have experienced that. The bad will drag the good down. And God stepped in, and God said to Abraham, listen to your wife. She is right. You see? She is right. So you see how tremendous impact where two brothers had to be separated and God agreed with it because there was one good and there was one bad. And they're brothers. So how much more it is, much more valuable is it going to be for you if you want to be in a relationship with someone and bring children into this world? One is good and one is bad. How is that going to look? Not good. Not good. So, how do I know if this person is good? Now, this is really addressed more towards the woman. This part of it is this. Now, Abraham sent his servant to go look for a wife for his son Isaac. So he sent his servant off. Now, before he did that, he gave his servant tremendous amount of wealth to carry with him. Because back then, you had to buy the woman. So there was diamonds, rubies, gold, silver, you name it, he gave it. I think there was 3 horses full of wealth that the servant took with him in search of a wife for Isaac. So many days he traveled. He came upon a young girl that was next to a well. And then he approached it. It was him with 3 other people, 3 other men that was on this journey to find a wife. So when he came up to this young girl, and he says, can we have something to drink? And the young girl said, sure. So she went in and got more water, a big bucket of water, and brought to each one of them. She gave each one of them water to drink. After she finished giving each one of them water to drink, she went and gave water to each of the animals as well. When she did that, the servant knew right away she was the right woman. How? How did he know? Because of her character. He saw how thoughtful she was. Because she could have said, look at you 3, 4 big grown men on that horse. Get your own water. Come down up here, come down here and you go get your own water. She could have said that. You should be getting water for me. You should be helping me. But she didn't say anything like that. She was happy and pleased to do it. And also gave water to the animals. So he knew she was it. What made her valuable? It wasn't just that. What made her valuable is this. 1, she loved God. She obeyed God's rules. 2, she was a virgin. 3, she was young. 4, she can bear children. And 5, she had good character. This is what makes a woman valuable. That's what God says makes a woman valuable. And you heard it before. It says a woman should be silent in the church. You heard it. Because a woman has to have what it's called, it's character, but she has to be modesty. Very modest. And to give you an example of what that modesty looked like, there was this woman that was traveling. And then back then, kings, when they saw beautiful women, they would take these women for themselves. So there was this king, and he saw this beautiful woman. He wanted her, so he took her. He took her to his palace. He kept her there for many days because he asked her to marry him, and she says, no, you're not of the same culture, meaning that we don't have the same religion. So she refused to marry him. And he wanted her to convert, and she said she's not going to convert. So he says, well, you're going to be mine no matter what. So he kept her there. He didn't feed her. I mean, he was torturing her, not in the sense of beating her or anything like that, but not feeding her, not giving her water, making her beg for these things. And then he said, I'm going to give you one more chance. If you refuse to marry me, this horse is going to drag you until you die. So it was in a courtyard. You had all these people standing, and now they tied this young woman laying on the floor, her hand tied to the horse, laying on her back. And then he came up to her and said, I'm going to give you one more chance again. And she says, I'd rather die than marry you. So they hit the horse started dragging her for her to say yes. And she didn't say a word. But what happened is she started screaming, stop, 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 stop the horse. Then they stopped it. They thought she was giving in. And then she says, do me a favor. Anyone here has a safety pin? So they gave her the safety pin, and she took the safety pin, and then she attached her dress to her skin with the safety pin, just so her dress would not come up when they were dragging her. Once she finished doing that, he says, okay, continue dragging me. And they dragged her until she died. Look at this. And the reason it's hard for us to understand it is because we so far move away from the truth. And it sounds weird. Oh, that's not me. This is 2020. I couldn't live like this. Well, guess what? Are you happy in 2020? Do you have the man you want? Do the children have a wonderful father? Do you have a wonderful life? Are you happy? But you say it's 2020. Well, where's the happy in 2020? Guess what? Never going to happen. It's not going to happen. The only way you're going to have this, you have to go by God's rules. You have to go by his rules. There's no other way to obtain this, ladies and gentlemen. There is no other way to obtain this. It's not possible because it doesn't exist. Like I said, it's like throwing a rock up in the air, it comes down. That's the rule. That's the rule. You can't change gravity. The same way you cannot change the rules of gravity, you cannot change the rules of God for finding the good wife and finding a good husband. The reason we so far remove from that concept, from that understanding, is because it wasn't taught to you or by your parents before you and so on for you to understand it. And we also have decided we want to do things our way. But again, this is where we are today because you wanted to do things your way. Until you decide to start following the rules God put into place in this world for us to operate by, which is the Bible is an instruction manual to teach us how to live in this world. And we decided to do it our way. This is what we have today. We decided God doesn't know nothing. He doesn't know. I'm going to do it my way. Guess what? Are you happy with your way? That's the question you have to ask. Am I happy? Are you happy with the way the world is? What about your children? If you have children, what's going to happen to them? How are they going to find a good spouse? If you yourself at this age can't find a good person, what's going to happen to your children? Did you ever think about that? You didn't think that far, did you? Well, think about it, because it's only going to get worse. So what does that mean? At least you probably had a chance. Maybe you've been married and divorced. But again, what's going to happen to your children, ladies and gentlemen? Because you got to think about them. They're going to want to get married. So where's this person going to come from? Because, again, we decide to do things our way is why we are here today, ladies and gentlemen. This is why the world looks the way it does. It could change, but the only way for it to change, we have to change. We have to change. If you want the best, then you got to change. You got to become the best. You want the best, you got to become the best. One more story. Think of it this way. There was this woman, and she wanted to have a baby, and she was a pure woman, good woman. And God came to her and said, listen, you're a good woman, you're pure. I'm going to send you this perfect soul, this holy soul. I'm going to entrust you to raise this soul for me. But there's one thing, I'm not going to keep this soul in the world that long. But you are the only one qualified to raise this soul, meaning the best of the best child. Imagine God said, I'm going to give you the best of the best. Why? Because you made yourself a vessel to receive the best. You can't expect the best if you're not the best yourself. Think about it. If you were dying today, who would you leave your kids with? You ever thought about that? I guarantee you almost, you would find the best person you would trust that would give your child the best upraising as possible, the best opportunity, the best person. That's what you would be looking for. But guess what? That's what God does. You have to make yourself the best vessel. So she was the best vessel, and she was giving this child for a little while before God took him. But again, because she made herself into the best vessel to receive the best child. You, me, all of us have to make ourselves into that vessel. We have to make ourselves into that vessel. And the only way to do that, we have to keep learning the ways of God so we can have a better life. I thank you for joining me. God bless you. Subscribe. Share this with other people who don't understand, who need this information, so that way they can have a healthier life, a happier life. Thank you. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.